Today we're going to talk about ratios and unit rates. So first thing we need to do is we need to understand what ratios are. Ratios are something that compares. So there are three different things we can compare. We can compare a part of something to another part. We can compare a part of something to the whole. We can compare the whole to just a part of something. There are three different ways that we can write using a ratio. One of them is to use the word to. So we would say 3 to 8 using our words. The next one is using a colon, and you would put 3 colon 8, and you say that the same as the first way, 3 to 8. And then the third and final way is using it as a fraction, and you would write it 3/8 with the fraction line, and you would still say 3 to 8. So let's look at an example. For every fish Nate caught fishing from the shore, Brian caught 4 fish from his boat in the lake. Write a ratio to represent the situation. Draw a picture to represent the situation. So first thing we need to look at is what is it comparing? It is comparing the number of fish Nate caught to the number of fish Brian caught. So step 2, then we need to look at our numbers. So for every 1 fish Nate caught, Brian caught 4. So our ratio would be 1 to 4, or writing it your three ways, 1, 2, 4 with the word, 1 colon 4, or as a fraction, 1/4. And then our last step is to draw a picture to represent the situation. So if we're talking about fish, we're going to use fish. We're going to use Nate's fish is blue and Brian's fish are orange. So there are 4 orange fish and there's 1 blue fish, so that gives us the 1 to 4 ratio. So let's practice. For every 2 white roses in a bouquet, the florist used 3 red roses. Write a ratio and draw a picture to represent the situation. So here's what this would look like. We would have 2 white roses, and then you would draw 3 red roses. That would give you your picture to draw to represent the situation. And then write the ratio. It would be 2 to 3 in one of these 3 ways. Okay, let's try some more practice. This time we're going to use the figures to write each ratio. So, it is important when you're doing these that you list the numbers in order that it's written. So, for our first one, green to white figures, we want our green figures to be written first in the ratio. So, if we look through this, we can look at our pictures and see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green figures. So we'd write our 5 first. Then you could use the word 2, you can use the colon, or you can write it as a fraction. Next, we count our white figures. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 white figures, so that number comes next. So our ratios of green to white figures is 5 to 4. Now, I want you to work through and work out the rest of them. Now, here are the rest of our answers for you to check your work. Now, your ratios might not always be in simplest form, so we also need to look at simplifying our ratios. If you have the ratio 12 to 8, think of it as a fraction. So 12 over 8. Is that in simplest form? No, we can simplify that. So we have to think what number will go into both 12 and 8 evenly. In this case, 4 will. So we divide top and bottom by 4. So 12 divided by 4 gives us 3, and 8 divided by 4 gives us 2. So the simplified ratio for 12/8 is 3/2. So let's work out the first one together. So, first thing we need to do is write 4 to 2 as a fraction. So our first number goes on top, our second number goes on bottom. So we have 4/2. Our next thing we need to look at is what number will go into both 2 and 4 evenly. In this case, it would be 2. So we will divide our top and bottom number by 2. 4 divided by 2 gives us 2. and 2 divided by 2 gives us 1. So our simplified fraction or ratio is 2 over 1 or 2 to 1. Okay? Now, I want you to work through the rest of these and find your simplified fraction or ratio. Here are the answers. Now you can check your work. Next, we're going to talk about unit rate. A couple vocab words that we need to talk about though. Rate. A rate is a ratio that compares two quantities with different units of measure. So for example, we would have the units of measure for miles and the units of measure for gallons, and we're comparing those. So that would be miles per gallon. A unit rate is a rate in which the second measurement or amount is 1 unit. So let's go through some of these. Example A, 3 full vans hold 36 people. The number of people per van is the unit rate. What is the number of people per van? Step 1, we write a ratio to compare the number of people to the number of vans. So our number of people will come first, and then our number of vans. We have 36 people, and we have 3 vans, so our ratio is 36 to 3. Step 2, we write the ratio in fraction form. Once again, our first number is on top. So the number of people, 36, is on top, and the number of vans, 3, is on the bottom. Step 3, we write the fraction as a division problem and then divide. So 36 over 3 is the same as dividing 36 divided by 3. 36 divided by 3 gives us 12. So with step 4, we then write our unit rate. So we have 36 people in 3 vans. Our unit rate, once we divided, is 12 people per van. So the unit rate is 12 to 1, or 12 people per van. So let's practice. What is the unit rate if 4 vans held 36 people? And here's our work. We have 36 to 4, which is our people to vans. We write it as a fraction, 36 divided by 4. 36 divided by 4 gives us 9. So 36 people in 4 vans is equivalent to 9 people per van, or the ratio of 9 to 1. Okay, example B. A recipe calls for 24 eggs to 4 cups of milk. The unit rate is the number of eggs per cup of milk. What is the number of eggs per cup of milk? How many eggs are needed if 2 cups of milk are used? So our first step is we write the ratio in fraction form. So they want eggs to milk. That would be 24 over 4. Step 2, divide the fraction. 24 divided by 4 gives us 6. Step 3, we write the unit rate. So we have 24 eggs for 4 cups of milk, and our unit rate would be 6 eggs per cup of milk. So 6 to 1, or 6 eggs per 1 cup of milk. Step 4, we use the unit rate to find out how many eggs for 2 cups of milk. So we would need to take our 6 eggs per cup of milk and multiply that times 2. So 6 eggs times 2 would give us 12 eggs. 1 cup of milk times 2 gives us 2 cups of milk. So we would need 12 eggs if 2 cups of milk were used. Now it's your turn to practice. Write a ratio for the rate 120 miles in 5 hours. Then find the unit rate. So now you can check your answer. First thing we do is write the ratio as a fraction. So you have 120 miles over 5 hours. Then you have to divide it by 5. So 120 divided by 5 gives us 24. and 5 divided by 5 gives us 1. So our unit rate is 24 miles per hour.